Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, it's DMG and welcome back to Blitz, and today I'm going to show you some mastery gameplay in the Hellcat, Jagdpanzer IV, and the Jagdpanther II. Now, this is all about TDs, and I think one of the hardest things to learn about tank destroyer play is when to shotgun. However, you will see in these three games that I know when to shotgun and when to hold back, because there is a very, very stark difference. Now, the lineup here shows 4 heavies and I believe 3 mediums or lights on their side. So I want to go to the left side to engage the mediums because I don't want to put my team in front of 4 heavies, right? So I'm trying to get over to the left side, but there will be some uncooperative players and I will have to try and work this out. Now everyone seems to be going towards the bridge and I am in a Hellcat. Now the Hellcat has a lovely gun in terms of alpha. Now the handling is not the greatest, and what really kills it is the turret traverse and the track traverse. So although it has a turret, don't let it fool you. It cannot redeploy its gun quick enough in a stationary situation as much as you'd like. Now, it also has no armor. If you sneeze on this tank with HE, it will take full roll damage. The only thing you really have is a nice little thong of armor around the mantlet, but that's not too much. I mean, just assume that you're going to get penned with every single shot you take. If you get a bounce, you should giggle like a loon. Now, the Hellcat is very, very quick in a straight line, and I am putting that to good use right now as I am shotgunning, realizing that that T-37 has moved after putting in a few rounds into him. I didn't go all the way out to the left side in the beginning because I didn't want to be rushed. I wanted to stay somewhat near my team. If I was isolated, I am more liable to be rushed, especially in a tank that has trouble shooting its way out of a situation. It also doesn't have a lot of HP, and I wouldn't say any tier 6 tank has a lot of HP, but keep in mind that this can be two-shot by a KV-1S. I guess that's not really saying much, as most tanks can be two-shot by a KV-1S, but it can be one-shot by a KV-2. Most mediums can take this to school in about 5 shots. You have to be very, very careful. And something that you've seen here is that I went across and engaged the heavy tank in the Kuro, and then something that I do is keep my head on a swivel. Just because I am in a turretless tank destroyer, something that you need to do when you are playing one of these things in a shotgun situation is keeping your head on a swivel, especially if you're turretless, because you need to be able to understand what's going on around you. Now, I notice I take a shot from behind, so that means push in and escape the danger and go right into the KV-1S. He's focusing on someone else, so I am able to easily put in some rounds. I really need to vampire the team here. I'm already on half health, which means that's 3 shots from a medium, or 1 shot from a KV-1S, or definitely a 1 shot from that KV-2 over there, or excuse me, the T-150. But this T-150 misses his shot, and I'm pumping right around to get to his side. Now the T-150 has lovely side armor, but the Hellcat's fantastic penetration allows me to go right through the side of the T-150. T-150 is a very, very strong tank, and I do recommend you pick that up if you have the chance. But a weakness of the T-150 is it has a large back drive wheel, so if you want to immobilize it, shoot it in the back drive wheel, as it is very easy to hit from angles like that. You can even kind of miss the drive wheel and still take the tracks off fairly reliably. That's also due to because the Hellcat carries a 90mm gun, and caliber does factor into module damage and whether you're able to take off the tracks or not in 1 shot or 2 shot. Now, I'm pumping around now just to see if I can get this final kill on the VK. I don't. Our Nashorn or Dickermax, I believe, takes care of the situation just fine. But as you can see there, I didn't go too far out. I didn't get myself isolated. I kind of played a roll from a bush in the first, I don't know, minute. And then I had that situational awareness to say, I need to go forward and push the game. And I receive a mastery badge for 2,800 damage and 3 destroyed with a 28,000 credit profit. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you will be in the Jagdpanzer IV. Now, both of these are tier 6 TDs, but I would say that they play very differently. The Jagdpanzer IV just has monstrous DPM, and actually, I do feel like it traverses too quick for what I'm used to. So it was a little odd playing this tank. And if you happen to pick up a Jagdpanzer IV, I'm sure you'll realize quite quickly that this thing traverses quite quickly. But that's because it needs to mitigate a somewhat narrow gun arc. However, I'd rather have a wider gun arc and less traverse, as that means less bloom from the reticle going around, which means I need to traverse my tank less, I need to break camo less. But anyway, temple. It's all about the temple. This is a terrible map for tank destroyers, and we're about to see what I'm going to do. I need to board the temple. Now, that IS wants to drive backwards into our spawn. I don't really know what he's doing. I actually look back and kind of look at him to see what he's doing, but he's just going to be an absolute meathead most of the time. So we're just going to leave them there on their own devices. Now, I'm going to push up to the temple steps. And yes, this is a bad idea. Do not try this at home unless you are on Lost Temple and really have no other choice. You could flank, yes. You could sit in the back, yes. But claiming these temple steps is the most important. And since I see no one else doing this, I'm going to take the strong position even though I'm in a turretless tank destroyer. Now, the very difficult part I realized about this vehicle right now in this situation is that the Jagdpanzer IV is so low profile, I can't even get the gun over the frickin' little steps, so I'm able to shoot the SU-152 and the T-25-2. So I have to be very careful around this area. So in order for me to get any kinds of shots, I actually need to come all the way around the corner, which is quite difficult. Now that SU-152 is looking the other way, and I need to start pumping him for all he's worth so I can eventually whittle him down so he does not continue staring at me. I need to make him back off. That T-43 wants a little bit of me too. I put one into him. Jagdpanzer IV has about 3,000 DPM, which is just ridiculous. This is 220 alpha on a tier 6 tank that has a 4-second reload. That is higher DPM and alpha than the E25 at tier 7. So you're taking more alpha and more DPM a tier lower in the Jagdpanzer IV compared to the E25. Now, the Jagdpanzer IV also has lovely camouflage and is able to sit and snipe, but its penetration is a little bit lacking. I do not run calibrated shells as I do feel that the DPM on this tank needs to be really, really maximized, just pushed to the absolute limit. And I'm able to really utilize that DPM even though I'm not always able to penetrate the shots. It's just that when I get in a situation where I get the side or I get a lightly armored tank, which there are a lot of at tier 6, the Jagdpanzer IV is lovely. But as you can see, I'm just shotgunning this completely. I've turned a, what is it, a 6-on-4 or a 6-on-3 into a 5-on-3. Now, I need to go back and help our Nameless. Our Nameless will actually be engaging the SU-152 and take him out of the game right there, but this IS, I do feel the need. I need to go back and help as this is where I can do the most damage in the least amount of time. This Nameless is going to want to tunnel that IS, but now you will see the Jagdpanzer IV's just absolutely fantastic DPM go to work and annihilate this Nameless. A round of premium ammunition to finally finish off the Nameless to make sure I go through is important. As you can see, the narrow gun arc is really hurting me there as I need to traverse the gun, and it's kind of hard for me to keep up with the movement of the T-3485 and put a shot into him at the same time. So he needs to back up there. He does. He kind of makes a mistake and goes a little bit stationary, which allows my DPM just to really go through the roof and make sure I'm penetrating every single shot. And now I will be going into the KV-2. I do believe our heavy tank takes him out. I'm not really sure. But as you can see, the shotgunning nature of a tank destroyer, you sometimes need to do this. I went up to the temple steps because no one else was going there, and I realized that that key position was more important than my tank's role in that moment. Now, that is not always the case. Sometimes people will do that for you, but what you need to realize is this delineation between I need to shotgun versus I need to sit back and snipe. And keep in mind, I call that shotgunning. I wasn't YOLOing at the enemy, but I was on the front line in a tank destroyer that was not heavily armored, and I was bottom tier, right? So it's all about learning when to change your role. I received a mastery there for another 2,800 damage and 4 destroyed. Good stuff there. I do think that because I took the temple steps and kept them back in their spawn and kind of split them and then went after the Nameless afterwards, making that tactical decision allows me to win that game. Now, this game was on a stream that I had. As I said before, if you want me to stream, please give me 1,000 subscribers. I will not stream unless I get 1,000. I mean, I figure that there's really no point in streaming until I have a large enough fan base to watch. And I know that that's only a difference right now of about 35 people, but it's just a goal that I would like to hit. Now, the Jagdpanther II, this is one of my favorite tanks in the game. And like I said, this is a rating game that I was doing on stream, so the queue times are long. People can countdown in with me without even me having a countdown timer, really, because the queues are just ridiculous and ratings have such a small pool. So there are a few people that are stream sniping. So I need to be very, very careful. As you can see, there's a little bit of lag on the stream, but regardless, we're going to play this out. I was losing a lot, so I wanted to play something that I felt more comfortable in. Personally, I was not ready to play the Panther II again when somebody asked for it, so I decided to play the Jagdpanther II. Hopefully that's close enough, right? Anyways, I'm going to support my medium tanks at the B cap right now, but I look at the amount of tanks. Look, I see me swivel over there and start counting tanks. I'm counting tanks in that moment to see what's going on, and then I notice a lone defender, and I figure, okay, there's only one other tank around there with him, so I can do a one-on-one or a 2v1, and I will pop over and put a shot into this defender. And the Jagdpanther II, more GPM than IS tanks, more alpha than IS tanks. A very strong haul-down profile, and see, this is where people want to tunnel. There's that super Pershing wanting to putting a shot in me, and that T-44 comes around and wants to have a crack at me as well. However, this T-44 is going to try it again. I'm going to swing my gun back around and put a shot into him, into his drive wheel. Now, the Jagdpanther II has lovely trading alpha at 460. This is the kind of alpha that you see on the IS-7 at tier 10 or the E-75 at tier 9. And having this at tier 8, firing at tier 7 tanks, makes it a very, very scary gun. And the gun is accurate too. I'm not really sure about the dispersion or the bloom, but I'm running no equipment, and you've seen me hit just a fully moving, fully track traversing shot on that T-44 and hit the small little weak point of the super Pershing. And granted, the super Pershing is littered with weak points, but that's a different story for a different video. I put a shot into that tank for a kill, and now I am into the T-54 Mod 1. That guy is a stream sniper, and I know who that is, so I have to keep... I finally saw the name at the end of the game. I didn't realize this person was stream sniping me, but they are watching me very carefully, and I put a lovely shot into them. Hopefully that blind one does go in. Now, this T-34 wants to push all the way down there. I need to be quite careful about what I need to do. I am on a one-shot. I cannot afford to lose our backbone, right? Because this is when you don't shotgun right here. This is not the time to shotgun. I am on a one-shot. There's too many unspotted guns at this time. And this is a calculated risk I needed to take. That T-34 I knew was going to spot me as I crested the ridge. But I figured that if I am just technically faster with my fingers than he is, I'll be able to get that shot in. And that mod in that stream sniper wants to put a shot into me, and I return fire into him. And as you can see, people talk about the mod 1 just being absolutely ridiculously powerful, but hey, I go right through the turret of the mod 1 with Jagdpanther II APCR, and that is uncalibrated, by the way. And I'm not talking about ratings, I'm talking about not using calibrated shells. Anyways, that's the game. Lovely damage there. I do think my ability to I just count tanks. It's just counting tanks. There are 5 tanks on one side. That means there's 2 tanks somewhere else. So if I can find 1 tank, that most likely means they're isolated. So I get a mastery for 4,300 damage and 3 destroyed, raising my rating. Guys, don't worry about the actual rating. It's not important. I've seen very unskilled players get to 4,000 rating, and all they do is spam tier 8. So ratings, don't even worry about. Wargaming has to fix something there. I also received 30,000 credits, but I do think that since I shotgunned that defender and that T-34 and pressured that super Pershing, then I realized I needed to sit and wait at the end, right? Because I was on a one-shot. That is not the time to shotgun. So I hope you see that clear distinction between when to go and when not to go. Of course, if you don't get it, please feel free to ask me questions or watch the video over again just to make sure, or I guess just to make sure you get what's going on, because it's so important to be able to play a tank destroyer and do this, because you will not find a lot of success if you don't know when to shotgun, because I feel like people lose a lot of games because they don't know when to shotgun at the right time, or they're shotgunning and they shouldn't be. So having that distinction between when to go and when to sit is so important. Anyways, if you enjoyed that content, please hit that like button and subscribe for more, and if you didn't, please leave your constructive criticism in the comment section. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to share my passion with you today, and I hope to see you next time.